going on, guys? This is Burrs and Mrs. Burrs. I'm here to talk to you today about disaster kits. You've seen a few videos in the past in relation to disaster kits that I've come out with, and now we have a completely upgraded kit and some more perspective from children and women with Mrs. Burrs that we're going to include in these videos that we're doing here. So, what do we got to talk about here today? We're going to talk about the how, what, why, where, when in relation to disaster kits. So, when are they going to need them?
Now. Everyone needs to have one now. At this very minute, ready to go.
Immediately.
For anything.
Yes.
That is the key. Are you guys ready?
I don't think we can answer that question.
No. Well, maybe their comments will.
So let's start out with why people are going to need these. So what are some reasons people are going to need them?
It is hurricane season, so that is my biggest thing is hurricanes. Tidal waves, tsunamis, earthquakes, tornadoes. There was a ton this season, and so much more.
Definitely stuff like artificial intelligence taking over the world.
What would be one of the natural disasters that you think would actually happen?
Hurricane, blizzard, at least this area. You got to think that when you're watching this video, we're in the Northeast, so a lot of the stuff that we're preparing for is in relation to those type of natural disasters. You might live somewhere else and have different natural disasters than what we might come up against here. So that's all, your mileage may vary in terms of that, and only you can answer those questions. But in the Northeast, I would definitely say hurricanes, blizzards, or like heavy snowstorms. Flooding has actually been a pretty large issue the last few years in our area that hasn't been in the past, so we have to think about that. Those are the kind of things you got to think about. The other thing, with disaster kits is the out of the ordinary stuff. So people might lead you to believe that like nuclear attacks are going to happen. Like Kim Jong-un's going to rocket man one day and blow everything up, or maybe like artificial intelligence is going to take over one day, which is possible. I think that's probably definitely possible. She's not in the technology field, and I am. An EMP?
EMP, and then the solar flare.
Yeah, solar flare, back in like the early 1900s when we had a much weaker power grid, there was a solar flare that took out the power for a while. I don't know exactly how many days or whatever, but it definitely did do some destruction. So that's always possible. EMP, when you look at these things, you got to look at them on a matrix of like what's possible, what's not likely, and you can't always base all of your natural disaster preparations on what's not likely. You got to have a good base, and I think that these disaster kit items that we have here provide everyone with an exceptional base to start with for the disaster kit.
So guys, the one thing I didn't mention earlier was evacuation. With families, you guys are probably not at the same place at the same time every single day. And one day you'll come across, all of a sudden, you need to evacuate. Crap, where do I go? High grounds? Most likely. So you need to have a map memorized where high grounds are memorized for you and your family to meet up at a safe place, regardless of whether or not you're able to communicate and effectively get there with the things that you need and your family members and what matters most to you. So, depending on the age group, what you have going on with you, how many kids you have, all of those things add up to how much you need to pack, store, ready to go. But excessively packing won't get you anywhere fast.
Yeah. So like with our kits, we have two of these items like this. We have another one, it's a little bit smaller. And then those are like the guts of our disaster kit. And then we have a medical kit, which you can pretty much do anything in. or anything with in terms of medical stuff for the most part. And then if you want to step it up a notch, just grab your backpack. So like I go backpacking, grab your backpack and throw it in there with you. You're going to want some water, so we're going to recommend some water containers that are like 5 and 6 gallon. You can fill those up, use those, maybe some gas cans. And if you're looking to do tactical stuff, if it comes down to like artificial intelligence taking over.
It is the biggest risk that we face as a civilization is artificial intelligence.
We'll talk about that too a little bit later on in the video series.
How do you start? Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I need to pack this, this, and this. Imagine what it's like when I want to go away for vacation.
Yeah,
1 week,
just imagine.
right?
Just imagine.
It's really not that bad, to be honest.
I know.
I don't want to hear it. But just imagine you're packing up to go on a vacation for a week. You're trying to plan out for more than just a week for your family to get by with necessities. So you have to pack efficiently, you have to pack minimalist, but yet what's going to get you through not just 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, but something that's going to help you survive. But, keep saying the word but. However, you don't want to just get by. You want to thrive in this situation.
Yeah, you don't want to just survive, you want to thrive. And that means having things in your kit that are sustainable. For instance, water bottle. It's not really sustainable. Water filter, that's sustainable. You can get like 10,000 gallons of filtered water out of a water filter. So you got to think about all those little things when it comes to putting together one of these.
My favorite thing is bottle of Captain Morgan. That'll last you a little while.
Yeah.
Get you
Possibly.
a little while.
It depends.
But it's, you know.
But it is. I mean, you got to think about those things in terms of like morale. So you might want some Snickers or some booze, you know, as far as like morale goes, and
Woo!
make a fire and get a nice little bonfire going on to get through the bad times. You know, you got to think about those things.
Pack a bag of marshmallows, whether it's 5 marshmallows or a whole entire pack straight from the manufacturer.
Marshmallows, Hershey's, and crackers, graham crackers, and that's going to lift pretty much anyone's spirits. I mean, who doesn't go out to like camp and not have s'mores?
S'mores.
Yes, it's s'mores.
S'mores.
It's Pennsylvania. I'm from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania Dutch. Weird accent. I can't help it.
Whatever brings your spirits up is a big deal. Packing little things like crayons and paper for the little ones. Again, gotta keep their spirits up.
Some other reasons to have one is just, frankly, to be responsible. If you look back into, you know, the early 1900s, even the 1950s and 60s, people would do canning. They'd have bomb shelters that they'd have. You know, they were prepared people in terms of what was going on around the world at that time. And they had, you know, economic issues back in the early 1900s, and they were prepared for, you know, these situations and possible moments in time where they'd have to, you know, scrimp by. And I think that's kind of been put to the wayside, you know, recently, maybe the last 20 years, because we have such a great nation that we live in that I think those things are forgotten, and they, you know, I think people should actually learn a little bit from the early 1900s and 1950s and 60s in terms of preparing.
So, Burrs, what is the American way?
The American way is being prepared, at least up until the last 15 years, 20 years.
Maybe.
Once Y2K stopped, you know, once that was, everyone was like, hey, we partied like it's 1999, no one died, no one like had an issue with, you know, computer systems going wacky. I think everyone kind of gave up on preparing and being prepared for situations for the most part. So, being prepared is the American way, I think.
So, if you listen to us, guys...
You will win.
Yes.
Day in and day out. Win.
You can win. You can learn something from us.
And we can also learn something from you. So comments are great. And I've noticed that over the years with all the other videos I've done, the 1,300 videos, and some of those being disaster related, that either maybe I don't mention something in a video, or someone picks up on something I said and they'll mention it in a comment. For instance, I had bottled water and I said, hey, these are some like quick go-to items to use These aren't to sustain you. These are just quick bottled water that you can just grab and drink. But I didn't mention in the video that, hey, you should rotate those, every 6 months, maybe every year. So you don't want to have plastic bottled water sitting around long periods of time, chemicals leaching out of the bottles, etc. So comments are definitely welcome. This might be the way we go about it. You guys might have some better ideas about certain things than we do, and we're definitely open to listening and seeing what you guys have to say.
A really good point would be to start with a Fema checklist. That is one thing you could use to help guide you if you're totally overwhelmed on what to do, based on your surrounding area, your location, whether you're in Hawaii, Alaska, wherever you may be, Australia.
Australia?
Yeah,
I guess
they're
they gotta
great
prepare
too.
They gotta prepare too. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what you'd prepare for. If you're from Australia, just comment below as far as what you would prepare for there and how you'd prepare. I'm interested.
Want to know what's going on in the outback, right?
Would you pack onions?
Would you pack onions?
Yeah, bloomin' onion.
No. Don't listen to him. So, methodically thinking, over time, you want to give a little bit of input here and there, a little bit at a time. Take steps. Don't overload yourself. Don't stress yourself out. This whole point about this is to make your life a lot less stressful when you're a stressful time. Take it easy on yourself. But primarily, make sure you have enough goods to get you through, to start off with, a week. A week. Without electricity, without water, without help from others.
So the one thing you gotta think about with disaster kits is, what's the first thing that happens? I mean, even when they're just saying there's going to be 2 inches of snow on the ground around here, you go to the grocery store and there's no bread, no milk, no eggs. People are preparing for French toast. And you have to be ready to deal with the French toast makers, because they're going to go through the store and they're going to take everything out of there when there's a disaster of some sort. So just think about that situation, right? So, disaster of some sort happens. Would you rather go to the store, get what you can, but know that when you come home, you still have like 2 months or whatever you have, maybe 2 weeks, a week, worth of food and supplies, and you don't have to rely on the grocery store? I think that's a very good feeling, that you don't have to rely on the grocery store, because the grocery store doesn't really hold a lot of food. You might think it does, but when it comes down to like everyone and their mother and aunt and uncle going to the grocery store, I mean, the grocery store sells out like that. And then if they don't have resupply, that's when disaster kit comes in handy.
So guys, the idea is to be prepared. You have to be prepared for your immediate family members. Some good aspects I'd like to add as a mom myself is, make sure you have a bag ready to go for your little ones, whatever age group they may be, because just 6 months out from a newborn, you have totally different supplies that you need between a newborn and a 6-month-old. You may not think something would be that big of a deal, but it is.
Definitely.
Have that little bag ready to go with the supplies that you need for that little one. And I'm not talking about just for a few hours. I'm talking about at least 3 days minimum. But again, a week ready to go at your door. And that's not talking about just going to the grocery store. I'm talking about not the diaper bag. I'm talking about an actual go bag ready for your child. And I'd love to talk to you guys some more about what we actually have prepared. And I'm excited to show you guys more in depth what we have in the medical kit, our disaster kits, and so much more.
Yep, so stay tuned. We're going to have, like I said earlier, all those different videos in this video series. And the first one to come out is going to be on medical. So if you guys have any questions or anything, you know where to put them down below. The one thing I will say is all the links to everything, for the most part, are going to be in the description. So if you see something that you like or you're interested in, check the description. You'll find all the links there. to pretty much everything that we have here. So stay tuned. Until next time.